When I was growing up in Detroit, the community where I live presently was not a place that I thought I'd wind up. When I was coming up where I live now, it was thought of as this very stuffy upper middle class enclave where people, when they wanted to sort of escape and get away from the working class communities, maybe where they came from or where their relatives were from. I don't think that's quite the perception anymore. It's a community that has opened itself up to a wide variety of people. Living there now, I'm sort of forced to challenge how I thought about that place. One of the things about my community is that it's become a very prominent African-American enclave for professionals and for people who aren't seeking to get away from any sense of black community, but who are seeking to recreate it and make sure that it's stable and that it's functional.
My name is Darrell, and this is how I see Detroit.
I don't really have a typical day. I usually write in the morning. That's sort of my most creative time. I like to write in the daylight and contemplate in the evenings. And after that, it's about picking up the kids, getting my daughter off to dance or my son off to soccer, coming home and spending some quality time with them, or finding some solitude for myself, whichever I need. I occasionally go out and I get to speak to young people in schools and talk a little bit about writing. And I always explain to them, especially when I'm at schools in the neighborhoods in Detroit, I say, I'm what a writer from your community looks like. I'm not interested in becoming one of those people who forgets where he comes from, who forgets about the community that birthed him and that raised him. My old neighborhood in Detroit is largely gone. The house that I grew up in has been torn down for years now. In many ways, the community reminds me of what Detroit used to be in the 1970s when I was a kid, what working class and lower middle class Detroit was like, in the sense that there was a great deal of togetherness. People cared about the neighborhoods that they lived in. They looked out for one another. They knew one another. There was a real sense of connection to the schools and to other institutions. Even when Detroit was bearing a lot of monikers, the murder capital of the world, and the murder city, this kind of thing, that wasn't the Detroit that I knew. A lot of the problems that I saw growing up weren't relegated to just poor or working class neighborhoods. Middle class people in the suburbs, white folks, black folks, whatever, they got some issues too. A lot of things that you may have thought were exclusive to a troubled community in Detroit are really quite universal. We've had a real problem with embracing certain ideas such as regionalism, regional cooperation. I think with the demographic changes, though, I think that the city and the surrounding suburbs might find themselves being a lot more at ease with the idea of that, because I know that I love Detroit. You've got thousands of former Detroiters who love the city, who I think can help build bridges and repair a lot of those bridges. So that's the great thing about, what's happening. My name is Darrell, and you just crossed the line.